What's happening, everyone? I just wanted to give you a quick intro to this movie as I was doing quite a few things to the C63. I was doing the PCV valve, that movie's been posted. I was doing the headers, head bolts, lifters, the tappets, whatever you want to call them. And is that it? Valve cover gaskets, intake gasket. So there was so much going on, and I didn't just do, oh, and tires. So I didn't just do one task, like I just didn't do head bolts, and then I moved to headers. I kind of had to do it all at the same time because I removed the valve covers to be able to get to the bolts for the headers. So I kind of was just jumping around a lot. The movies and the videos that I took didn't really mesh well together. It was just a lot of hodgepodge. So this is the intro to doing the head bolts. Now, I did the head bolts one at a time. I had no problems with it, and I've driven it hard since then, and it's been wonderful. Uh, I had things go wrong. You'll see that in the movie, and so I won't hide that fact from you guys. Lots of things went wrong. One of them was one of the new head bolts that I put in. I think it was an E55 socket that I put on, slipped off, rounded off all the heads on it, and I couldn't back it out with it. It just kept slipping. So I did have to get that out. Some valve covers didn't come off because the bolt, for some reason, just wasn't backing out, so we had to cut it off. There was just so much, but hey, that's part of working on our own cars and why I love filming this, because nothing goes as planned. But anyway, this is the beginning of head bolts one at a time. The next screen I'll show you the steps I took, and then if you watch just a little bit further, I have a big cardboard sheet. You can pause the video. You'll see all the torque specs for each bolt, valve cover bolts, cam phaser bolts, I mean everything, head bolts, everything. So stay tuned. Thank you so much for watching, and let's get into it. Wanted to give you guys a little update on the head bolt progress. I had the valve cover off anyway for the studs for the exhaust. I have my little cheat sheet up here. I was able to get a timing tool and the black bars in back, and I have the adjusters off. I have run into a couple problems. The first is, this is a 2010, but my adjusters do not have a threaded locking hole. So I had to use the adjuster locking mechanism that it came with. Now they only came with one, not two, and guess what? There's two adjusters, so what do? Well, I threw the bolt. I got M5 screws. These are what were supposed to screw into the back if I had a threaded hole. I don't. So I just put it in there, and there's the backlash on it, and that is under tension. The problem is, once you take it off the gears here, it wants to snap and, you know, take up the slack. So the hole in the back was supposed to have the compensation screw in the back. Well, that didn't seem to work. Up to this point, I did get the engine at 40 degrees top dead center, or 40 degrees after top dead center. I got the adjuster on, I got these off, I drained the coolant. So we're good, but I did want to share with you some of the struggles I've had. Let me come over here. This is the bolt that I was supposed to put in. This is a C-clamp that I have to hold it, and you can see this is the line I made. That is the thing, and that's supposed to be lined up with that. Okay, you can see it's not, and this is under a lot of tension. This is the adjuster mechanism that goes into the hole in the back, holds the gears, and you can see that is perfect. But I only had one of these, so I tried to make another one, and it didn't work. I've heard that you can't get these back. This is $700 and some, $750. So I'm not sure what I'm gonna do yet. In the meantime, I bought another one of the timing gears that it came with the, this is where the adjuster sat. So I in essence bought another one of these off Amazon for, oh geez, I think it was $65. So that is what I'm up against. Okay, just pause for a second, because what I did learn was, yes, that backlash is under a lot of tension, but where those white, where I lined it up and they kind of went off, I found that if I put on the other backlash, or the other adjuster cam timer on the one side, take and line it up, take off the backlash like release pressure thing, I could then put it on the other one and slowly tighten it down, and it would pull it in. I thought I read somewhere that once it kind of, the backlash goes like this, it's just going to snap and go like that. That's not true. You can take it off even without it. It's on the gears and there's a lot of pressure on it. That just relieves the pressure so you can slide it off a lot easier. So I was learning as I went. I found out after the fact that you can use just one. Two makes it easier, but the one, you can just put it back on, tighten it down, and it'll pull the gears back together instead of going like this. So it's possible, guys. I ended up returning the other one because I wanted to save $65. So misinformation in the beginning part of my video, but I learned as I went. I didn't intentionally try to mislead you guys. It's just you learn as you go, and it's pretty cool that we can put it all back together with only one of the tools. But having a 2010 or newer with a threaded back is going to be so much easier, but it's not impossible without it. And I proved it by doing it this way. Just makes it a little bit harder, but just wanted to fill you in on that. I'm going to continue moving forward. What I'm going to work on next is slowly loosening up the bridges. Now keep in mind, these are location specific, so this needs to go back in this orientation in this same spot. I labeled my cams, intake, exhaust, took out the spark plugs so that I could turn the engine over without building too much compression, and made it easier to turn. So that's where I'm at. I'll update you guys here shortly. I should be able to have all these out really quick. What I am going to do is mark every nut or every bolt on the bottom. I'm going to turn every single one evenly at 90 degrees, and it's going to take a while, but it's under so much pressure. I've read that this is such hardened steel, it'll snap and break. So I'm just going to take my time and do it right. Let me just show you this too. My T30 snapped. Lovely, right? I am so fortunate. Yeah, there you go. So fortunate that it snapped in a non-critical position. I was taking off the cam cover and it snapped on like this bolt. Now, if it was over here and that piece fell in here, that would ruin, well, at that point, everything's got to come out and you got to get back into there, find that piece. Otherwise, you'll bend valves, maybe bend your piston or blow a hole in it. I don't know. Bad things happen. So I'm very fortunate that this broke in a non-critical location. But just, you know, this is part of taking apart an engine and doing projects, is you're gonna have things that take forever. I mean, to be honest with you, draining this coolant, there's a plug up here. I thought that was just gonna be, you just turn it. Well, I spent 30 minutes trying to turn it without breaking it. I did drain all the coolant, but it's just stuff like that that takes forever. And same with that adjuster over there. So yeah, it's just part of the daily grind of figuring out this and learning as you go and making mistakes. But that's the update. Since I'm on a roll of talking about things that go wrong, I went to just mark all the bolts like I just told you I was going to do. And as I shook this, the tip fell out, landed there, and is laying down there somewhere. Oh yeah, yep, more paint, lovely. So let's just keep adding to things that are breaking, why don't we, huh? Before I put each bolt in, I used the RTV gasket maker, and I just ran a bead down each of the new head bolts before I put it in. I don't know if I did this right. I don't know if it's necessary. I really don't know anything. I just did it because I know it goes through the water jacket, and I was trying to create a better seal. They are torque to yield, so it should be a good enough, but I did it just for a safety precaution, and seemed to work out. I don't think it can cause any harm really. So that's what I did. Now, like I said, when I went to the passenger side, number one, I couldn't get one of the valve cover the valve cover off because one of the bolts was like, I just couldn't get it off. I kept stripping it. So we ended up cutting it off with the Dremel, and then I created such a big gouge in it that I could then spin it off. And what else? Oh yeah, I stripped a head bolt, putting it in. You'll see that. So I went to Home Depot and I bought a reverse, what is it? A bolt extractor set, pretty much, where it goes on top and it just keeps getting tighter and tighter, and it just keeps backing it out. I backed out super easy, so you'll see that here too. But everything is back together, but it doesn't always go according to plan. All the head bolts are currently updated, torqued, and ready to go. The next step is going to be the hydraulic lifters. Now, at first I thought they were looking good, but upon further observation, you can kind of see here how it's starting to wear in a straight line. See that there? It's supposed to be perfectly circle. These are supposed to rotate, but I'm really glad I'm doing them. At first I was like, this is a waste. You kind of see there, it's not. We have this here too. So just really good that I'm doing it. If I'm gonna be in here doing all this, I might as well do this. These are my spark plug holes. I'm gonna be doing new spark plugs too. So this is just really good to kind of keep an eye on it. I mean, this one too down here, got a straight line going across. That means the cam's hitting it in the same spot. After a while, that's just going to keep wearing it down. So it's really good that I'm doing it. The driver's side valves are going to be, valve lifters are going to be done. The new head bolts, I don't know if you can tell, but that's now the new style. That looks good. Really happy those are in. Here are the torque specs. I did one at a time, following that sequence there. So we're moving along. Here's my setup. We have the intake cam, exhaust cam, the tabs here. I just said go outward, so down. There are no tabs up here. And same for here, they go out. This is going to be the center of the engine, or center of the valves. So really cool. Those are the adjusters. Again, I screwed this one up. I'm gonna try to fix it by removing that screw there, which goes across there, throw a pin in there to be able to then remove this pin. We'll see. And here are the old head bolts. They don't look horrible. They certainly don't look great. I'm really, really happy I went along with going this route. Some of these look a little worse than the others. So, yeah, really glad I'm doing them. Just got the other side to do. We'll be good to go. What I got here are the 32 new hydraulic lifters, tappets, whatever you want to call them. I have assembly lube by Redline. I'm gonna dip them in this, soak them in this before I put them in. I'm just gonna use this baking pan that I kind of used for oily stuff, just kind of contain it, and I'm just gonna put the old ones in here. Now, the way I'm gonna get them out is, since they're pretty oily, you can't grab it. I got this really cool magnet, extendable. You just and pull it out, just like that, super easy. So that is going to be the method I use to remove the lifters, and then soak them, put them right in here,
I'll be done.
Thank you guys for watching. As you can see, this is a big project, but with enough patience, which is sometimes hard to come by, the right tools and everything else, it just kind of all came together. And it was a great learning opportunity. So I just kind of took it over. And I mean, it comes out one way, it's got to go back in, right? So that was kind of my mentality. And it was a great learning opportunity, and I could take pride in knowing that I did it. Now, a few things also is once everything was back in, the head bolts, the lifter, tappets, everything. You could see the last picture. I just soaked in RTV or in the Redline engine lube. Everything goes back in the same way it came out. So just reverse the steps. One thing I also did before I even put the spark plugs back in was I did the other side. You do all that, but I did crank the motor over by hand just to make sure there was no interference anywhere, make sure everything did go back in. I was pretty confident, but you just never know. Something could have happened. This was my first time. So I just cranked it. I found out there was no interference anywhere. There was no bad noises, grinding, binding, anything. So I put in all the spark plugs and valve covers back on, and everything was good to go. I felt a little bit more confident in cranking the engine over. But sometimes just taking a little bit extra time to do some safety measures of that nature can save you lots of time, hassle, money, aggravation later. So, just take your time, reference this video, reach out to me, guys, subscribe. The next video coming out is going to be the headers. My tires, I think, have already been posted. Watch that, please. And next, we just got to take it to the drag strip, see what it'll run. It's been raining every single Thursday for open track night for the past 4 weeks or 3 weeks. Doesn't matter. Long time, over a month now. So unfortunately, I haven't been able to see how much I've improved over the 12.65 that I ran. But let's keep our fingers crossed we're into the 11s, because that's all been my ultimate goal. So this has been awesome doing all this work. Super rewarding. And I'm just so glad I get to share it with you guys. So thank you again for watching, and I'll catch you next time.